Eastham Conservation Commission to hold a public meeting on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 3, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham, Eastham Wetlands Protection Bylaw. And before we get started, this meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and is available on the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. Please remain muted unless it is your turn to speak, and please let the chair know if you will be recording the meeting. I'm going to take attendance and then we can begin. Janet Benjamin.
Here, and Karen, you're not coming across really loud. It seems like your voice has faded.
Okay, hold on one sec. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
We can't hear you at all.
Okay. Give me one. But now, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear me well enough so that I can keep going, or do I need to go back and restart?
It's good.
I think it sounds good myself.
Okay. All right. So where were we? We were going to take attendance. Okay. Janet Benjamin.
Here.
Joanne Cossett is not here tonight. Greg Douglas.
Here.
Mike Harnett.
Here.
Chuck Wagner.
Here.
And Karen Strauss. I am here. Okay. First up tonight is Certificate of Compliance filed by Linda Novak for SE 19-1110 for 150 cubic yards of clean coarse sand to be placed behind an existing sand drift fence at property located at 95 Bayview Drive, map 10, parcel 277. And who's there to speak to that? Is this one of the people in town hall?
Yes.
Yes, they're coming to the mic now.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Christian Norjo of Anchor Marine. The Linda Novak, she has a permit to renourish her sand, and she needs to close her file and get her certificate. She would like, if possible, to get an ongoing condition to repair her fence and continue sand nourishment if needed.
Okay. So the fence, I believe, Alex, if you want to check me on this, the fence and the nourishment are a separate permit.
I believe that is correct. I think the fence is covered under a different order.
Okay, so that would need to be a different filing if there's still an open order for that.
Are they both the same DEP number?
They'd be different DEP numbers as they were put in under separate, and it should have been under separate NOIs, or at least they were not under the same NOI for the as the nourishment was. So
which one is this DEP number apply to? The sand offense or the sand nourishment?
Yeah. So the one on our agenda is to talk about nourishment.
Correct.
But, so I actually am confused now, because Alex, you sent me the original NOI for this,
Yep.
and I think it's under a different number, a different DEP number.
Let me see what I sent you.
And apologies for the confusion, I only got the NOIs this afternoon, just before, not too long ago before the meeting. Or maybe I'm wrong. The files you sent me, maybe it's just my file numbers.
Okay, so I sent you. You get 10-277.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that, oh, that's right.
That
19
should,
dash.
that should be the one.
Okay, okay. So we're talking about the one for the sand
For the sand,
right
correct.
now. Yeah, and not the fence.
Correct.
Okay. So, so looking at this, the original order of conditions didn't actually specify the amount of sand or the frequency, but the notice of intent application asked for 150 cubic yards of clean sand, which to me sounded like a one-time application, and then that's been extended over time. Is that correct? It looks like it might have been extended. I'm losing my notes.
It was probably extended many times.
Yeah, so it looks like it was extended the original, and then 6 times.
Okay,
And so I was curious, was there nourishment done every 3 years? Or what was the sequence there?
nourishment
And
has,
was it always 150 cubic yards?
nourishment, it's not done every year. It is elective, and she only puts it on when she has erosion and her fence gets exposed. But she likes to keep a permit in place to keep her bluff in good shape, so she does not have to move her house back.
Okay, so how many times has it been nourished over these?
Over the past 20 years, it's been renewed 6 times.
Yeah,
It's hard to say how many times without going through the file and figuring that out. We
okay.
could probably safely say she was probably nourished at 5 times in the past 18 years.
I'm curious because the application, original application itself and the order of conditions didn't talk about this as a kind of an ongoing thing, and then it's been extended, which to me would indicate it most once a year. So 5 times in the past 18 would be just a little bit under that. Okay, so what you're asking for are continuing conditions. And not to be a nuisance here, but as the original order didn't actually include the details on the quantity of sand or the frequency, it's administratively, and Hillary maybe can jump in on this, that we can't add continuing orders to a certificate of compliance if they didn't exist in the original order of conditions.
That is correct, Karen, but if we can find the original order of conditions for the beach nourishment, then we could.
Well, we have the original order of conditions, and it doesn't specify, it's a poorly written order of conditions because it doesn't include the quantity or the frequency.
But it does contemplate nourishment.
It does contemplate nourishment in that it asks for the office to be notified 24 hours before it would be applied.
But nothing about in perpetuity.
Nothing about in perpetuity or quantity or how often.
So this is one of those rare one-off ones where I'm inclined to come up with a condition that cites that condition for nourishment for them to notify the office, because I don't think there's harm in continuing to nourish this. It's infrequent, it's only when needed, and they're still going to notify us. So I think we can get away with that. But if they have some desire to change what they're doing or do something different, then I think we would want a new order of conditions. So a new notice of intent filed for that.
Okay. We're going to have the same issue come up on another one tonight. Very similar circumstances. Yeah. All right. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Let me open it up to the rest of the commission. And I think Alex also you had your hand up, or?
I was just going to note that the quantity that I pulled for my staff report was the one that was requested in the notice of intent, since it's not referenced in the order or the site plan. But it seems like the amount that is being nourished is the same amount that was originally requested in the notice. Was it 150 cubic yards?
That seems to be the case.
Okay, I was just confirming that.
Okay. Greg?
Yes, we walked the site today, and I have to say that whatever they're doing right. The grass was incredibly robust, and it appeared that the work that had been done there was stabilizing the bank using the grass and the sand. So it didn't look like they were over sanding, and it just looked great, to be honest. It was really solid. We were thinking that there was accretion going on here. I think it was such a nice bank.
That's good to hear. Alex?
Yeah, I'll just second what Greg said. The bank looked great. It was in healthy condition. There was, plenty of vegetation and beach grass stabilizing the bank. So I think whatever has been done has been working well. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so maybe Hillary, you can help us with the motion then. It would be a motion
Yeah, I would make a motion to issue the certificate of compliance with an ongoing condition for nourishment as described in the original notice of intent filed on whatever date it was filed on in perpetuity.
All right, so the initial, we should have the initial date in that motion, or just,
Yeah, I would I would cite it back to the date of the original notice where it was described.
Okay, well, the original, the first hearing was October 28th, 2023. Let me just scroll through here. These files always wind up in some odd order. Okay. So the original order was received October 6, 2003, and then the hearing was October 28th. There we go. Sorry, I should have looked a little further there. My apologies.
It looks like the date of issuance, and this is on page 405 of the order. I think it's November 6th, 2003.
Okay, that's the order, the issuance of the order of conditions. Is that right?
Correct. Oh, we're looking for the notice of intent.
But we're going back to the notice of
Yeah.
intent, which I've got in front of me. I'm just looking for the, sorry, the date here. That's signatures. Okay.
I think it was received.
It was received October 6th, of 2003. That's what the stamp says. But it should have a date. These older ones are a little
We could
different.
probably firm that up at the office, Karen, as long as we have the general gist in the motion, we can get
Oh.
that free.
Okay. Yeah, not to waste more time. So if we could have them, yeah, all right. So if we could have a motion to issue an order of, a certificate of compliance with the ongoing condition to allow nourishment in perpetuity to the amount issued, listed in the original NOI of 2003, with the date to be inserted at the office and with 24 hours notice to the Conservation Department before any work is done.
That sounds good.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, okay. Joanne. I'm sorry, Janet. Janet's
Yes.
not here. Greg,
Yes.
Chuck. Chuck,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, so that one's done. Now we're looking for a certificate of compliance filed by Barbara Aranowitz for SE 19-1204 for replenishing the toe of the bank with approximately 100 cubic yards of clean coarse sand, free of all debris at property located at 75 Cranberry Lane, map 13, parcel 062. And except for the date and the amount, this seems like a very similar filing to the previous one. The same thing in the order of conditions and lack of detail on the site plan for quantity and frequency. So why don't we go, why don't, Greg, you let us know the site, what it looks like at the site visit, and start there.
I thought it was very robust. I think it was, you know, obviously they were getting it done as far as protecting the bank.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, Christian, are you looking for the same kind of?
Yes, I'm looking for the same scenario of a continued condition in perpetuity for sand nourishment.
Okay, for the 100 yards.
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, so if we could have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions in perpetuity for 100 yards of nourishment as stated in the original notice of intent, date of which to be inserted by the Conservation Department office, with notice required before any work to be done, notice of 24 hours to the conservation agent before any work is to be done.
So moved.
And a second?
Second,
Okay, Chuck? Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, we are done with that as well. Thank you, Christian.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have certificate of compliance filed by Andrew and Priscilla Maynardi for SE 19-1722 for the construction of a stairway over the bank, install plantings and hardscaping, remove trees, and restore and install beach grass on bank at 47 Longstreet Lane, map 10, parcel 342A. And do we have somebody here to speak on that one?
That'd be myself.
Okay, back to you.
Okay, so I have built Mr. Menardi's stairs, and he used tropical hardwood, Ipe. They're a very nice sturdy stair, should last for a long time. He elected to do his own plantings on the hillside. I haven't been there lately. I'm not sure exactly how it looks. I cannot attest removing any trees, because I did not really remove any trees. And that's it on this particular certificate of compliance.
So I know you were out there, some of the commission was out there for a site visit. If you'd like to weigh in and let us know what it looked like. Greg, you want to try again? You're muted.
I said I'm getting them confused. 47 Longstreet. Okay, yes, the stairs were incredible. They were incredible stairs. I think the bank was pretty solid. Although, was this? I mean, Alex, you're gonna have to let me know. Is this the one that had the cedar tree
Yes.
plantings?
Yes, this is the one that had the 3 cedar trees on the side of the dwelling that we were talking about.
Right. Yeah. Our only concern was that the cedar trees looked pretty rough in terms of they looked like they were in tough. At least one of them was in really tough shape, and if they may consider replacing one or so.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? So it looks like you're looking for some ongoing maintenance.
Ongoing
the-
maintenance for the stairs, please.
For the steps. Okay. Now, Alex has, I'm looking at your staff report, Alex, and it mentions ongoing maintenance for vegetation. Doesn't mention the stairs?
Yeah, so with the certificate of compliance request, for this one, it was accompanied by a letter from Tim Brady, who requested special condition 32 for ongoing maintenance of the vegetation. Did you submit a letter for this one too, Chris, or?
Sorry, say it again.
Did you submit a letter for this one as well?
I cannot answer that. I do
Okay.
not know where this request came from.
I mean, I'm
So Tim Brady made the request, but Chris Norjo built the stairs. That's what I-
right.
Okay. We've got the condition for ongoing maintenance for invasive species. Then I suggested including the condition for the seasonal stairway. We didn't condition, or at least nothing was conditioned with this for maintenance, although it is something that was conditioned in previous orders.
Oh,
Could we condition this as requested by Tim Brady? And then if maintenance is needed on the stairs, homeowner can file an RDA?
that's,
Just,
but this was a, yeah, there's no ongoing, there's no condition in the, I think that might be how we have to do it.
Yeah.
Unless Hillary has a thought.
Well, I don't think they're requesting maintenance of the stairway at this time. I think they're only requesting ongoing conditions for the vegetation work. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, that seems to,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Karen.
I was going to, that seems to be what the filing is for ongoing maintenance for the vegetation, but we're hearing from Chris Norjo a request to have ongoing conditions for the stairs. But it's, the application we got was for vegetation only. And can I just say that, Chuck, you're very, very soft on your microphone.
All right, well, this is 1722 that we're looking at, right?
Right.
So item 33 in the order of condition, ongoing maintenance, invasives only.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's all we can do at the moment.
Yeah, and I would suggest that if some work needs to be done on the stairs and they're not doing work within the ground, then we could consider that as an administrative review or an RDA at that time. But I don't know how I feel about ongoing maintenance of stairs when we don't understand exactly what that maintenance could be.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. In that case, we are looking for, unless anybody has any other questions, comments. Okay. In that case, we're looking for a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SE 19-1722 with an ongoing condition minute. Before I do that, I'm just looking back at Alex's suggestions here in the this, you've got a couple here, the requested ongoing condition number 32 for maintenance, and then Alex also suggested we include ongoing condition for number 19, which is work notice that the Conservation Department shall be notified 48 hours before beginning any work. And number 31, ongoing condition for the number 31, the seasonal staircase, that the bottom section of the staircase shall be constructed to be removed from the velocity zone. The bottom section shall be removed no later than November 1st and shall be removed if a strong coastal storm is anticipated to prevent loss or damage to the stairway. So, everybody good with that? Okay, so if we could have a motion for a certificate of compliance for SE 19-1722 with ongoing conditions number 32, 19, and 31.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second,
Okay, Janet,
yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. So now we have certificate of compliance filed by Andrew and Priscilla Minardi for SE 19-1812 for a proposed Sandra fence and voluntary bank nourishment at property located at 47 Longstreet Lane, map 10, parcel 342. Okay. And who's speaking to this one? Is this Christian again, or?
Seeing as how I don't hear Tim Brady, I will speak for Mr. Minardi. He has a Sandra fence we built a few years ago, and he has elective nourishment if needed. There is a natural dune in front of his slope. He's very lucky, but it comes and goes. And when it goes, he would like to keep the right and a permit to replace that sand so his slope and bluff does not get harmed. So I would ask for a permit to keep that condition in, so he may renourish if needed and repair his Sandra fence if needed in the future.
No. Okay, that's not what was asked in Tim Brady's letter with this filing, though. He didn't ask for any ongoing conditions here. So I think Mike, and then Alex.
This one, condition 27 specifically states that the sand is for only once during the 3-year lifetime of this order. So it specifically says it's not a continuation of nourishment.
Okay. Alex?
I was going to call out condition 27 as well. We also had a hard time locating the Sandra fence during our site visit today. Perhaps it was buried, but we couldn't find it during our site visit.
Well, I guess if it's buried, it did its job very well, as its purpose was to help accrete sand at that location. Or Hillary?
We request that Mr. Brady come to a meeting and discuss this with us, because if we don't even know if the Sandra fence is there, I'm not sure why we would consider putting an ongoing condition onto it or contemplate rebuilding a dune in front of it. So I think we need a little more information. If Chris has the information, I think we're willing to listen to it, but if he hasn't been out to the site and you were all out at the site and could not find evidence of the Sandra fence, we might need a little more professional guidance here.
That to me sounds like a good plan. What about the rest of you?
I think that
Anybody?
sounds,
I believe the Sandra fence is buried in the sand dune.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. If it is, it's done its job very well. Um, I think we probably normally would handle maintenance through an AR or an RDA on something like this.
Okay, I was
Anyway,
just trying to do my
yeah.
best with the customer, that's all.
No, we appreciate your input here. As we definitely appreciate your input. So I think we should probably continue this and ask Tim Brady to come and talk to us. We want to do that for our next upcoming meeting. Do you think? That would be October 8th.
October 8th, yes, I think we should shoot for that.
Okay, if I could have a motion to continue this to October 8th
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay. And we, Kristen, we do appreciate your coming and giving us your input on all of these.
Very good,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, next we have administrative review filed by Marianne Rossignol. Applicant proposes to prune back bushes along the perimeter of the property located at 670 State Highway, map 21, parcel 066. And you guys were out there today. Alex, you want to give us a run through and then one of the others could jump in?
Yeah, so Greg and I stopped by this property this morning, and the proposed work is along the perimeter of the lawn, and there's a lot of invasive vines that are kind of encroaching, drooping down into the lawn area. So the proposed work for this AR would be to trim back those vines.
Greg, any thoughts?
No, it looked pretty straightforward. If, you know, if it's limited to the invasive vines that are sticking out of the base material, I think that would be fine. I mean, it looked pretty straightforward.
Okay. Nobody else? If we could have a motion to approve this with 24 hours notice to the Conservation Department.
We approve with 24 hours prior notice to Conservation Department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Janet?
Yes. Does Hillary have her hand up?
I think it's left over.
Okay.
Got you, Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, next we have administrative review filed by Richard Longley. Applicant proposes to remove 1 to 3 pine trees at property located at 20 Drake Circle, map 16, parcel 005. And I gather that Alex and Greg were out there again today.
And Mike was with us at this
Oh,
one.
and Mike as well.
Yeah.
Okay, if you'd like to give us an overview.
As the property owner is requesting to remove 3 mature pitch pines that have turpentine beetle in them. The trees are kind of pitched towards the garage. So the property owner has concern that these trees may fall over this upcoming winter. Site is quite heavily vegetated. So perhaps if the commission approves this, I think myself, Greg, and Mike think that mitigation of a single tree for the removal of these 3 would be appropriate for the site.
That would be a single tree of a particular size. That you're suggesting?
Yeah, I mean,
Particular type?
we didn't speak to a certain type. We just discussed a native tree to replace these 3. We certainly can condition, certain height or pot size the commission likes.
I think that makes sense. If we're doing 3-to-1,
Yeah,
that it should be a substantial but sustainable size.
back to previous projects, I think the 5-gallon size plantings have a pretty decent height to them, like 8 to 10 feet maybe.
8 to 10 feet diameter at breast height. Is that what you're saying?
Or I would just say, you know, a 5-gallon sapling. I think depending on the nursery, you know, the size or the height and the DBH would probably, you know, differ. But if we condition a 5-gallon size sapling, I think that would ensure that whatever sapling is being replaced is of decent size.
Does that work for the rest of you?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Yes. Could you tell me again why they want to remove the trees? Or 3 of them? Do all 3 have to be removed, and for what reason?
The L,
The trees had signs of turpentine beetle. So I would say structurally, these trees are compromised. So they I guess, pose a risk to the dwelling and the garage that they are situated next to.
All 3?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So if we could have a motion to approve the removal of 3 trees with a replacement to be a native sapling of a 5-gallon tub size and special conditions for tree pruning and removal.
so moved.
And a second? Someone?
Second.
Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Next up, we have a violation at 370 Mill Road. And I noticed that Peter Schneider is here. And maybe Alex, you could just get us started.
Certainly. So the Conservation Department was notified of some work being done at 370 Mill Road. And then Amy and I did a site visit. That was last Tuesday, I believe. Yep, last Tuesday, and we spoke with the contractors at the site, notified them that they were doing work within the buffer zone of a wetland, and it appeared that the work was not permitted. And since then, we've been in communication with the property owner, who's been very easy to work with up to this point, and it's been communicative with the Conservation Department. We met the property owner during our site visit this morning, and there appears to be clearing of the lawn, some shrubbery. There was a retaining wall that went in that I believe replaced an existing retaining wall, and an outdoor patio space at the side of the house. So that's kind of the scope of work that was done without permitting. I'm not sure if the landscaping company is with us tonight. I don't see him.
I know you asked them to be here,
Yes.
so we will need to see them at a future meeting?
I can touch base with them this week.
Okay. All right. So Peter, you're a new, I noticed you're a new homeowner in all of this. Can you unmute, please?
Yeah, we just purchased 370 Mill Road 2 years ago, and this is sort of our first project outside. We feel bad that we did not get the appropriate permits. The contractor has been very receptive to whatever conditions you think are appropriate, and we are as well. I think it was described pretty well by Alex. We would like to try to get the project properly permitted and back on track.
So
Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I don't have too many at the moment. Anybody from the commission?
So there was a site visit today at my property. I'm just curious as to what the opinion was of that for the visitors.
Greg, you were there.
Yeah, I mean, it appeared that the backyard material had been removed. I think the surface soil on the backside and on the front, the surface soil had been removed. And some bushes had been removed as well. I don't know. I think what we need is a plan. I mean, we need a detailed plan in terms of what they would like to do and what plantings they'd like to plant and where they would go. I mean, it is what it is right now. I mean, there's a wall going up. There was a wall historically there. It'd be nice to see the historical planning and then compare it to the new work that they're proposing, and to try to evaluate, what needs to be done.
So the contractor was planning to meet this morning, but was late. He was pulling in as you were leaving. He did go and visit and speak with Amy today and provided photographs as well. I'm not sure that we know what our plantings will be at this point. We'd appreciate any suggestions if there's something obvious, but we haven't really determined that yet.
So what we will need for you to go forward is proper filing that details that's called an after the fact filing, because you started the work and already did some of the work. So I think we're looking, Alex, for a notice of intent here. Right. So you need to do a notice of intent filing that typically includes a site plan that lists all the denotes where all the resource areas are and where the features are on the property, such as where the house is, the areas you've taken down where you want to do the work. And after the fact filing includes descriptions of the work that was done without the permit, and then details the plans that you would like to accomplish, including planting plans and any proposed mitigation for any work that you're doing that generally is outside the same footprint of the original work. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm wondering about areas that are outside the 100-foot buffer, such as the front yard, where we're trying to see if we can get some sod in before the season closes. Is that work that could be done?
If it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone, I don't believe this is a floodplain either. Okay, so if it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone, then it's not within our jurisdiction. Alex, go ahead.
There is some land subject to flooding, but that delineation does not extend any closer to the property than the wetland does. So the 50 and the 100-foot buffer is accurate when it comes to our jurisdiction over the property. So the front yard and a good portion of the driveway is outside of the 100-foot buffer. So I guess for the notice of intent, it's going to be all the work inside of that 100-foot buffer that we're concerned about.
Okay.
Greg? You're muted.
It appeared that the driveway, which is outside, some part of it is outside, I think, the 100-foot buffer, but it does drain into the 100-foot, 50-foot zone. I think that Alex made a good suggestion at the site to put some erosion controls in place. I think that would be something we'd want to happen sooner rather than later. Because you could see that, I mean, I realize it rained 8 inches this week, but you could see that there was erosion and potential, especially with the removal of the surface material in the backyard.
I think we can ask you to discuss appropriate erosion controls with Alex after the meeting, maybe tomorrow. And or with the contractor.
Yeah, the contractor's prepared to do that right away. Whatever.
Yep.
Whatever.
When I reach out to the contractor tomorrow, I'll relay that to him as well.
Okay. So, so now I guess we're just looking for you to pull all this information together and submit a filing.
And so what happens after that? What's the timetable? I'm just curious because our yard is sort of torn apart everywhere right now.
Well, that's the unfortunate consequence of doing this backwards. It really depends on how long it takes you to pull together what we need. And we probably should have a time limit on that, but you seem very motivated to get this done. But you have to put together the NOI and file that, and then we hear that within 21 days of when it's been filed. And then you and whoever has put it together for you is back in front of the commission for further discussion. There's some back and forth. We might ask for some changes and so on, and hopefully it only takes a single meeting, after which point within 21 days of our making a decision, then a permit is issued. And then I think there's a 10-day window for appeal, and then after that, work can be started, assuming there's no appeals made by anybody.
Okay. We'll have the notice of intent in this week.
Okay, do you have a site plan of the property already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found one in anticipation of today's walkthrough and hearing.
Okay, and you'll note that when you do file this, that there is a 2-time penalty for an after-the-fact filing. So the fees go up ×2.
I don't understand what that means.
That means the normal filing fee for a notice of intent for the work is doubled for an after-the-fact filing.
Okay, what is that filing fee?
It depends on the work. I'm not sure exactly what this fee is at the moment. There's a fee table on the town website, and Alex can talk about it with you when you get in touch about doing the filing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All righty, liaison reports. Oh, sorry, Alex, go ahead.
It's not on the agenda, but Ben Fairbanks is also with us tonight to give us an update on the South Sunken Meadow property.
Okay, we can have that, I think, under the other topics the chair did not anticipate. So we can do that now. Welcome.
Hi. So yeah, just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm sorry I said last time I would have everything ready for this meeting. While the plot plan was completed a couple weeks ago, we just needed a little bit more time to make some revisions and incorporate the new information into my site evaluation so that we can have a kind of informed approach for our way forward. So that is, we're pretty much wrapping it up. So I do believe we'll get that in by this week. So I'm pretty confident that we will be ready to have a full submission for everybody's review by next hearing.
Okay, so that sounds like a plan. We'll see you October 8th.
Okay, I will see you October 8th.
Unless
Thank you.
anybody has, wait a minute, anybody have any questions
Yep.
before he goes? I didn't mean to cut that off. Nope, okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
All
Ben.
right,
Thank you.
yep, definitely.
okay, liaison reports. Anybody, Mike?
We're planting October 19th, 9 o'clock. Everybody's welcome. We'll let you know the day before.
And Janet? That's the Forest Committee, by the way. Go ahead.
Pardon me?
Janet? Go ahead, Janet.
Community Preservation Act Committee met, and they elected officers. Mary Shaw is the chairman, Dave Koppelman is the vice chair, and Joanna Buffington is the clerk. We talked about getting submissions for funding. There was a submission from the Open Space Committee. They are requesting funding for 2 kiosks, one to be at the Wiley Park parking lot and one to be at the Herringbrook entrance. And they do have a source for these kiosks from a company in Montpelier, Vermont, which they positively inclined to, but they're also looking for other possibilities. They talked about how the funding from the state is decreasing, but because of interest rates increasing, our interest has offset that to a good extent. So far, we have just the one presentation for funding from Open Space and hope to get others. I noticed that there were notices in the newspaper letting people know, letting groups know that they could apply. Our next meeting is October 2nd, I think.
Thank you. Open Space Committee's next meeting is tomorrow. On the agenda, I thought was more discussion of the CPA application. I didn't realize it had come up before the CPA committee. Yeah, okay. Let's see. I do want to also share, several of us were at the One Cape Summit last week. Greg and Janet and I, Hillary and Alex. And it was 2 days of a lot of policy discussion, a lot of housing discussion, but some interesting upcoming or some work in progress on freshwater resources that I thought was worth mentioning. The Wisconsin, is that right? That they've been using satellite resources to study the clarity of freshwater bodies. And the Cape Cod Commission is going to be using that on Cape Cod ponds in the upcoming future. And from that, and from their, they have something they call the Freshwater Ponds Initiative that they apparently started doing some outreach on this year, and we'll have more going forward that will eventually include some regulation recommendations. Alex? You're muted.
I'm gonna ask a question for Hillary. She's having a hard time unmuting her phone. Is it too late to make an application to the CPC for hydro raking schoolhouse ministers? What's the deadline for applications?
Janet?
You mean for CPAC?
Yeah,
November 1st, I believe.
November 1st. Okay.
And if you don't have all of the details, my understanding is they'll take at least a basic submission.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done that before. Given them the basics and then filled it in before they had to do their final vote.
Okay. And the final vote's in December?
Well, it was January, but okay.
Yeah.
So the application deadline is October 10th. No, sorry, is 10/30/24 by 4 p.m. So the initial application has to be in by then.
Okay.
I just went and looked it up on the CPA site.
Okay.
So
Thank
the initial application, the form has to be in by then, but they're very willing to let you provide additional details over time. So if you present it then, and then they can calendar you on the agenda to go through it, and you can talk about what else you need to submit and so on.
Okay. Thank you.
But they've been very, very patient in the past with some of ours. Yeah. Okay. Anything from anybody else? Any education or training of interest to anybody that they want to share? I have nothing at the moment except to say that the MACC Fall Conference registration is open. If anybody is interested in attending, now would be the time to really consider that. And if you want to go, you should let Amy know. And if you are thinking of going and are driving, please let me know, because I'd like to beg a ride. As always lately. All right. So let's see, where else are we? Sorry, my brain's a little wacko. Do we have minutes?
No, we don't have minutes this time around.
That's what I thought. I'm losing a little cohesion. All right, so next up is the 2025 meeting dates and deadline. Did everybody get a look at that? Does anybody have any issues? Okay, then I
No
think we need,
issues?
okay. Alex, I think we need to take a vote to approve that, so.
It's not an issue on my end, but I just wanted to note that as proposed, we would have one meeting in November and one meeting in December, just the way the holidays line up.
Because of Election Day and because of, we take Christmas off.
I think it's
Basically.
Veterans Day.
Veterans
Is
Day.
it Veterans Day?
Yeah.
Oh, right, election is the week before. I apologize. Does that make sense? Do we want to schedule a different, a third meeting in there? Or,
My thought would be if our meetings are as brief as this one and the past one have been, we would not need to schedule another one. If we suddenly get inundated with a lot of prospects, then we could consider it, but
or maybe we shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Right.
I like that idea.
We get so few breaks here. All right. So how about we have a motion to set the meeting date for 2025 as detailed by Amy's and everybody else's work. Excellent work, of course.
Do we move to accept?
I asked if you could make a motion to accept or to set the 2025 meeting dates as
I move
listed
to
in that
accept the
document.
2025 meeting dates as presented due to the excellent work of Amy, etc.
Second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Mark, Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. And before we close, does anybody have anything they want to add? Then if somebody would please make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a workshop Thursday night?
That's true. We do have a work session at 6 o'clock on Thursday in person in the Earl Mountain Room. And I guess we're bringing food, potluck again, nothing messy. All right. A motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.